Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my Cedar Point Recreation Park. Last episode we wrapped up Lighthouse Point and the camper area at the back of the park. Today we're starting work on the last major area left on the whole peninsula, if I'm not mistaken, and that's the marina. Pretty much meaning any of the area to the south of Valraven, on the side of the park opposite from the lakeside midway. We have a few interesting landmarks over here, and quite a bit of space on the peninsula left to fill. Things are also getting complicated with some of the terrain work over here. So a lot to go over here, lots to talk about. Notably is the continuation of Perimeter Road around this area. This is only part one of the marina segment. We don't finish everything in here today, which is good because the Perimeter Road stuff that I've done so far is pretty bad. I'm not really happy with any of it yet. I can't even decide whether I want it to be 4 tiles wide or 2 tiles wide. It's 4 tiles wide when it's over here by the parking lot, and then when it gets around to the Steel Vengeance area, it's down to 2 tiles wide. I don't really know how to consolidate those things. I'm going to leave that for future me to figure out. Still not really happy with the way that the roads I've built so far are looking. I do have a couple ideas for some different ways to organize and structure these, but haven't gotten around to actually trying any of them out yet. Hoping to get some of those soon. It's just real hard to make good looking streets in RCT, and that's just the way it is. A lot of the reference parks that I've looked at so far that do a lot of more urban things with streets like this just shy away entirely from having diagonal and curved roads. So it would have been nice if I could have done that, but it's a recreation, so I want to make it as realistic as I can. So trying to keep in these curves when I can, even if it looks terrible. So gonna have to find a way to make it look not terrible. One nice thing over here, there was a large building I had mapped out here. Used to be an old hotel, and then it was some employee housing, and a couple of years ago they tore it down, and now I don't have to worry about building it. I think we don't have to build any more enormous buildings at all for this whole park, which is pretty nice. I did have some good reference photos for what they did look like, but I'm not gonna be upset that I don't have to build them. Even though they did look pretty nice. I heard they weren't very pleasant to stay in anymore, which is unfortunate. As of right now, it's just a large flat area with just some grass and trees. Not too exciting from an RCT point of view, but that's what we're going to be building here for now. I don't really see a whole lot of point in tweaking it much to get something that looks a little bit nicer. Really need to focus on making the buildings and parking lots look good before I worry too much about the roads, because they kind of go in between everything and aren't really necessary to get finalized just yet. But anyway, over here on the other side of the marina entrance, there's some administrative buildings, parking lots, things like that. I wasn't able to get a lot of really great reference photos my last few trips here. A lot of it's pretty well covered up by trees, or when I was driving past, I can't take a photo of it while I'm driving past it on my way to the Hotel Breakers parking lot. So unfortunately, just kind of sticking with the Google Maps references for now. I don't think a whole lot of stuff here has changed in the last few years besides the demolition of that one hotel building. So I'm pretty confident that the Google Maps isn't going to steer me too wrong over here. But yeah, we have this administrative building over here with just a whole lot of parking lot around it. I'm not sure if it's employee parking lot. I'm pretty sure it's guest parking lot. I haven't ever had any reason to park over here. Maybe it's marina parking lot. Who knows? So really, at this point, after we get these couple buildings down, it's just a matter of building all the parking lots that tie the different areas together. There are some kind of weird shapes in some of the flower beds and walking areas that make things a little bit more difficult. I'm trying to recreate those when I can, but sometimes it makes for a bit of a messy layout, so I might go and retweak some of those later to make it look a little bit less weird for an RCT point of view. I also at some point need to figure out what I'm doing with my parking lot styles. There are like 3 different distinct styles I've been using for building parking lot lines. Whether it's using tarmac footpath with the steel lattice work pieces, or using base blocks with tarmac footpath, or using base blocks and steel lattice work pieces. Different combinations of those things lead to slightly different results, and I've used all 3 of them in different places around the park. So I'm not sure if I'm going to keep with the way it is with everything being a little bit different. Maybe it will help to keep the parking lots looking a little bit different, a little bit more interesting, or if I should go for consistency. Not totally sure what the best option is, although using the steel lattice work pieces has definitely been the easiest to build so far. But then again, I also have the largest parking lot with the base blocks instead of footpaths, so maybe kind of an inconsequential thing to worry about, but I do like having things be consistent when I can. So I'll have to make a decision about that at some point, whether I want to change up my parking lots again or something else. Anyway, enough about parking lots. They're not particularly interesting. We got one more big building over here, and that is, of course, the Marina Building itself. Not 100% sure if it has an official name, but that's where you can find the famous Dave's restaurant and the Marina shop. I meant to find time to actually get here at some point this season, but never got around to it. One of the few major restaurants I haven't been to yet. Mostly just because it's kind of hard to get to. If you're too busy riding the roller coasters already, gotta walk pretty far out of your way to get here. It is a pretty cool looking building though. Although currently it's inaccessible by the peeps in my park, since the route that takes them out of the marina entrance means that the guests are no longer in the park. So in order to get them here, I would have to put the park entrance somewhere else, which I might do at some point. It would be nice to have some peeps walking around here, since you would see that in real life. So I'm thinking I'll probably do that in the next section of this build, when we do a little bit more detailing and things. One thing that's bothered me a little bit about this build so far is that it does seem like the water level is a little bit low over here. And that's just a side effect of the way that we've built things. I did think about raising the water level by an entire unit around the entire map, but I think that would make things a little bit too high on the other side of the map, so we'll just say that it's low tide over here. It does make it a little bit awkward to put down the docks in this area, as it does look like they're floating a little bit too high. Now, I don't know much about how docks work from a technical standpoint, but I don't think the ones that I've built so far look particularly realistic. That being said, I don't really know of a better solution for them at this time, using the scenery that we have available to us. So yeah, for the Marina Docks themselves, we're just using some basic footpath without any topper on it, just the footpath supports. And like I said, I don't think it's particularly realistic, but it does look pretty decent. I guess that's mostly because it just adds some nice shapes over here in the water, compared to what we've been looking at before, where it was just, you know, some empty blue expanses of nothingness. At least this is a little bit more interesting. Now, obviously, I haven't built any boats out here yet. I do want to add some boat decorations. Unfortunately, there aren't any good boat scenery items that come with non-custom scenery, and since that's what I'm doing for my build here, I'm going to have to be creative and probably build some trackatecture boats here. Not something I've done before, so I'm going to have to go poking around in some of my reference parks and see if I can find any good boats people have built before for some ideas. They don't have a ton of room here either. I know I've seen a lot of really good, like, big pirate ships and things like that. Big galleons and that kind of thing, but we're not going for those kinds of boats here. It's going to be tough to build something in the small 1 or 2 tile spaces that we have here. But I'm going to save that for next episode, and I'm not going to worry about it today. So yeah, that's kind of all the building we have for today, at least. Now that we know exactly where all these piers are in the build, we can redo the jetties here as well. A little bit of landscaping here. Way back in, I think, episode 10, when we did the initial coastline work, I just threw down some guesses on where this would be, but now we have a much better understanding of what our coastline looks like. Like I said last episode, it's always nice to get some more organic looking terrain work in here. So these definitely provide a nice little addition to the marina area, especially once we throw some trees on here. But that's about all I had time for with today's build for this episode. Still more work to do on the marina, obviously. Like I've mentioned before, we want to put in some boats in here. And definitely more work to do on the famous Dave's building. I kind of got it like half done. Need to do some work on the walls and some more decorations and things. And wrap up the parking lots and other administrative buildings stuff back here. Lots of little details as always, which takes time. But I'm happy with the progress we're making so far. But yeah, the marina is a pretty big area, so understandable that's going to take more than 1, maybe even 2 episodes to wrap this thing up. But anyway, that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And as always, if you've got any comments, questions, or suggestions, please let me know. Thanks for watching.